What's up, guys? This is Jared with Hunt Nashville. Hope you are having a pleasant today. I certainly am. I am recording this the night before this podcast goes live to try to furiously get it uploaded because I love waiting until the last minute. This week on the podcast, we have got Abby Casey and Alabama Boss. Abby is a online content creator. She currently works at Rated Red, formerly from Realtree. She ran a web series on their YouTube channel. Also did some filming with them. And Alabama Boss is also a current content creator over at Rated Red, as well as a Vine guy, a YouTube guy, a general internet guy, and it's amazing. We sat down with them, had a really, really great conversation about online media, about hunting, about fishing, about chainsaw carving, about working in a metal shop, about guns. A lot of good things. A lot of good things that we got a chance to talk about and discuss, and maybe some angles that don't often get talked about, which was nice. But we didn't get too deep. So stay tuned for that. Really good conversation. I want to remind you, if you like this podcast and want to hear more like it, make sure you subscribe wherever you're listening at. iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify, I think soon, YouTube, wherever else you're listening. Thanks a lot. If you're on iTunes, please go give us a rating. It really helps us out. You're freeloading here. You're listening for free. You're not paying a dime. We're not charging you anything to listen to the sound of our beautiful voices and our amazing guests. So if you could, just go leave us a rating. It would really help us out. It helps other people find the podcast, which really helps get it out there. And that's kind of the reason we do this, is to get information out to people and maybe give you something that's partially entertaining. Because we certainly don't think we're entertaining, but for some reason, some other people do. I don't know why. And we keep making these things regardless of how many people tell us we're not entertaining. You can find us on Instagram at Hunt Nashville, Facebook Hunt Nashville, YouTube Hunt Nashville, online in general Hunt Nashville. Make sure you give us a follow. We'd love to see pictures of everybody's turkeys. Come on. Turkey season starts in a week here in Tennessee, dating this. And send us a picture of your turkey. We really want to see it. I really like seeing people just lay the smack down in a big old tom. I am rambling now, and there's no reason for it. So let's dig into this conversation with Abby Casey and Alabama Boss.
I got one Garth Brooks story. A buddy of mine, I play with Runaway June sometimes, and I had to miss a weekend, and there was another drummer out there, and they all called me the next, after the weekend was over. It's like, dude, you're not gonna believe this. It's like, we opened for Garth Brooks. And as soon as we finished sound check, they sent a line of bunch of vans, and the brew manager said, "Pick everybody, get in vans. Garth has something for y'all." And so took the whole tour, and they pull up to kind of like a Opera Mills, a outlet mall, and they pull up right in front of the Nike outlet, and everybody piles in there, and Garth Brooks is standing there, and he said, "Hey everybody, just wanted to say thank you for y'all playing this show with me tonight. Just y'all get in the line. I got some gift cards for you." He gave everybody $1,000 gift card.
What the heck, man?
Just for playing one show. And that whole crew, everybody. And they all just got
insane.
new Nikes and
New
everything.
kicks.
That's awesome.
Anyway, that's my only Garth Brooks story.
That's better than mine.
I don't have a Garth Brooks
I don't
story.
either.
I've never met the man, unfortunately. I've heard some great things about him, though.
But here's the thing, I missed it.
Really?
Yeah, I was not there.
Oh.
Anyway.
I've heard some awesome stuff about him. As far as people in the industry, he'll just have a meet and greet and backstage, and it'll all be people in a room this size and couches and stuff. And he'll just come in and sit on the floor, Indian style, in the middle of the floor, and just
chill.
start talking and be like, "Hey, where are you from?" And it's the coolest thing. He'll be like, "Hey, can I get you some water?" And he'll go over and
That's awesome.
it's that's the reason he is where he is because he does stuff like that. It's not gone to his head like Kevin. We can start whenever. I'll work the levels out as we go.
All right. What's yours sound like? Boss?
Good.
Boss?
Yep.
Here, let me get you a
Sure.
little bit closer there.
I'm dipping, so
It's all right.
So you're going to hear some spit. I'm not spitting in the floor.
Just tried to.
We're gonna
You
hear.
can't take him anywhere.
No, I'm redneck, man.
Nothing wrong with spit cut.
We're gonna hear some
Just tried
skull
some
and
Sawyers
stereo.
or-
Yeah.
Sawyers or what's that?
This is an advertisement
Yeah,
for
exactly.
Grizzly.
Do a
You
swapping
can-
shop. I'd
You
be
can
good
taste
with
the mint through the
Next
mud.
caller.
Next caller, please.
Tagline.
Tagline.
I got a
Good.
35-pound swine. Yeah.
I'll be charging Skull for that line.
Man, that was good.
Yeah. Little music in the background. We'll send it to him. Well, thank y'all for coming.
No, appreciate it.
You're welcome. I'm excited to be here.
This is a super chill thing. I don't know how to explain what we do here because we talk about music, we talk about hunting and fishing.
I'm living every day.
Oh man,
Dang it! Now I'm gonna have to get this. And this is gonna get copyrighted on YouTube.
we're gonna have so many sponsors by the end of this.
Luke
thing.
Bryan's gonna
welcome.
sponsor
Yeah,
us.
yeah.
It's gonna be
Abby's
amazing.
gonna be like spitting them.
But we have Miss Abby Casey and Boss Alabama. What do I need to call you? What do you prefer?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
He goes by many names.
I answer to a lot.
Okay.
Just whatever you feel
Alabama Boss.
like. Yeah, that's a little long, so.
Yeah,
It's
just
Boss. We'll go with Boss for the rest.
Yeah,
Abbreviated.
Yeah.
This is Jared. I have my beautiful co-host here.
Wow, we got a beautiful.
Got a beautiful on this one.
I did shower.
And
Thank you.
and I think we got. This is the weirdest. This whole podcast is the weirdest thing because most of our people like that we have on here come via Instagram.
Yeah, I creeped on you guys. That's how I found y'all.
It's super strange. So last week we had Trace Ayala, who is Justin Timberlake's creative director.
Yeah.
We like just randomly met on Instagram and realized we had mutual friends. We sat down with him. The week before, or not a week before, but a couple months ago, it was Randy Montana, who I had met years ago touring. And then we just like re-hooked up on Instagram, and now you guys. So thank you for being here and not thinking that the building in the woods behind the house was too creepy
Yeah,
to come
when
and
you,
actually
when you
sit down
texted
in.
me that, I was like, do what now? That sounds a little creepy.
Yeah, y'all should have rode together just in case this was
Yeah.
some sort of setup.
Yeah, I like it back here. This is my type of place.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Nice.
Let's talk back. It's
Yeah.
still in town, but it's
Yeah.
back in the
It's
woods.
out enough.
Well, I guess the best place to start, we usually try to get a little bit of background about our guests.
You
Abby,
don't want to hear mine.
we'll start with yours since you don't want to
Great.
tell it.
I'll go first.
Yeah, go for it.
How'd you end up in Nashville, and what's your background as far as online media? Is that probably the best way to describe what you do right
Yeah.
now? And
Collaboration
two,
of things.
how did you end up getting into hunting and all that stuff initially anyways?
Oh boy. Well, I'll give you the shortest story possible. Outdoor industry came in through Realtree. Bill Durden gave me my job, right place, right time. I was actually having a meeting with a guy from Bushnell about getting a job. Just got my business cards printed that day, and he's like, if you're looking for a job in the outdoor industry, you should just ask the guy sitting behind you.
Really?
And it was Bill Durden and everybody from Realtree. And when they got up, I introduced myself and I said, "Hey, I'm Abby Casey, and I'm looking for a job in the outdoor industry."
That's awesome.
30 minutes later, his secretary gave me a call, and I had a job a week later.
Really?
Really?
So
Yeah.
are you from Georgia originally?
I am from Georgia.
What part of Georgia?
McDonough, Georgia.
Okay, I don't know where that is.
Well, it's just south of Atlanta.
Okay.
Okay.
That's everything's either
Yeah.
just south of Atlanta or just north of Atlanta.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I started off there, worked in their video department, and ended up being there for about 2 years.
Which is where initially I recognized you from the Realtree videos,
Oh,
the
yeah.
series that you did.
My Realtree Life
Yes.
videos, my quirkiness.
That's right.
And that's where Rated Red found me.
Okay.
Somebody
Okay.
was scrolling through the bowels of the internet,
All right. Yeah.
came across my videos and said, "Hey, let's hire this girl." And back then, Rated Red wasn't even a thing.
Okay.
I thought some scammers sending me a message, "Hey, move to Nashville."
Right.
All
I
right.
was like, "What the heck is this?"
Yeah.
They flew me up here and it got even sketchier. It's like we work in this frat house, we call it, and it's awesome. It's a cluster, and it's creativity.
Nice.
And I was like the fourth or fifth person hired at Rated Red,
Right.
and started off there being my goofy self.
That's awesome. So
yeah.
when you were in Georgia, what got you into hunting and fishing initially?
of course, like many of us, we started off with our family being in the outdoors.
Right.
My late father got me into it, and my great aunt and uncle, they had a big farm down there.
Okay.
So it's always, I know a lot of my friends, it's been the family that gets us into it and
Right.
just sticks with you.
Right.
Yep, that's very true. That's our story as
Is
well.
it?
I mean, just like it's always been around.
Mm-hmm.
And then once I came to Nashville, it was like I got all in because it was better deer hunting up here.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
from Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
And the deer are about the size of a Labrador down there.
I was about to say,
Unless you're
they're
in
the
North
size of
Florida.
goats.
Uh-huh.
But well, that's pretty amazing to just walk up to Bill Jordan and just
Incredibly
Yeah.
blessed that he gave me
takes
that
balls.
that's
opportunity.
really does.
That takes
Yeah,
balls.
I was like,
Balls are really dumb. I don't know. One of the two.
but yeah, I mean that's pretty cool. How old were you when you like got your first job with Realty?
Let's see, I had just graduated college. I think I
Okay.
was about 22,
Okay.
23.
Wow.
Man, that's awesome. That's really cool to get that shot and just be able to like
And
boom.
I had zero experience. I
Oh,
had
right.
I made up my business cards. I said outdoor brand ambassador,
Awesome.
and I went in there and he said, "You better learn it or you won't get a job." And I learned it really fast.
So was it just your like passion for? Are you more into fishing or hunting, or what do you? Everyone has like, I'm a turkey hunter. Like I do everything else. I deer hunt, I dove hunt, I fish. But I'm like, if I had to nail one down, I'm a turkey hunter. I think Kevin would probably say he's a deer hunter.
Yes.
What is your? Are you? What are you into?
I would nail it down as whitetail hunting and then turkey hunting close
Okay.
second.
Yeah, and in Georgia, I mean, that's a pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
That's a pretty good place to do it.
I love chasing the thunder chickens.
No,
That's
yeah.
right.
Oh my gosh, yes. 2 more weeks here, and we're into
Yeah.
it finally. So
Yes.
I guess that's what kind of drove you to want to get into media, or was it something you studied in school?
Well, the thing that made me want to do it was I was going to school to be a PA,
Okay.
and I sat behind that desk,
Right.
Yeah.
and I had the realization that I did not want to do this anymore.
Uh-huh.
So I better get on the bandwagon of finding out what I was passionate about.
Yeah.
So I
No,
found
that's
it, and I
awesome.
found it.
That's very true, and it seems like that there is a correlation between people that are following their dreams and musicians and the whole thing, because it's like I could never work behind a desk like that or be tied down for
Couldn't
too
do
long.
it.
Or even if I get on one project, me and Jared work construction sometimes together, and if he gets like a long job where it's a really long project,
Like
I'm
this
I
one?
can't do it.
Yeah.
Like I'm out.
Yeah, it takes a different set of skills to sit somewhere for a year and not get tired of it or want to strangle someone.
I'm pretty ADD. So
All right. Yeah.
I'm like, gosh, something shiny.
Oh, that lends itself well for online media because
Yes,
you
it
can
does.
it's like get one out and start working on the next one.
So at that time, did you already have your like following going at that time?
No, I didn't.
Oh, so you had
Nobody knew me from Adam.
Oh, okay. So you're just like,
That's
all right,
awesome.
here's what I want to do.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And I really enjoyed filming for them. Like,
Oh yeah.
it was
sure.
more exciting sometimes for me to film somebody kill a deer
Right.
than it is actually killing a deer.
It's a lot. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's usually where I landed, mainly because he can't help but shoot. But anytime we filmed for a couple shows, and when we used to it, I always ended up behind the camera,
Yeah.
and I enjoyed it more.
I enjoyed shooting things.
I mean, trust me, I enjoy shooting them too. I'm not going to pass up an opportunity like that, but I do enjoy filming. And the cool thing about Rated Red is it's just not hunting and fishing, it's everything. Like today, we
Right.
were drinking gravy cocktails. God, they were horrible.
It sounds awful.
Just tell us the three you had to drink. What you?
What was it called, boss? There was,
It's Gravy Mary,
yeah, which is a spinoff of Bloody Mary, but
Southern
worse.
Twist.
Yeah. And then
Southern-
finger licking something.
Yeah, it was nothing good.
It was horrible.
Was it cold gravy, or do they still have it warm?
It was cold. They
Oh,
put
man.
ice in it.
Mercy.
Oh well, there's ice in it. That might have. Oh, man,
It doesn't.
First
it
one
doesn't
doesn't sound
make
too
it better.
bad. The Gravy Mary.
That was
Doesn't
my
sound
favorite.
bad.
Yeah, I failed miserably trying to take a sip of that.
It's not sitting right with my stomach right now. I will say that.
Man.
So I'm gonna admit to something. I've known about you for several years.
Oh yeah, that's
From,
scary.
From Vine. From Vine.
Dun, dun, dun.
Back when people still used Vine.
Oh yeah.
And I used to run up to my buddies within like the last couple years. Every time we'd pull up, and I'd go, "Nice truck!"
Oh yeah. I guess I get it every day.
So
At Walmart
Sure.
especially.
So what? At Walmart especially, I'm sure those are our people.
I'll be in a cereal aisle and I'll hear it from across the aisle over there. It's great. I'll holler back.
So what got you into that initially? I mean, did you just like?
It was I've had a video camera on my shoulder since I was a kid, but I went into working in factory and machinist, tool and die, done it forever. Decided to build an outdoor app.
Okay.
Sunk a ton of money in it, and decided that Vine. I run across Vine, and I thought, well, I don't have any marketing money for this app since I've got it up and running.
What was the app called?
Outdoor Loop.
Okay.
And anyway, I was gonna save some money and try to get 5,000 followers on Vine.
Right.
By being funny. Because I've done it all the time at work. Got me in trouble at work. Bad. But anyway, I started doing Vine, and within the first couple of weeks, I had 5,000 followers. And before it was over with, I was at 800,000. I was reaching one.
That's a jump.
Yeah,
I
a jump.
would say so.
It was crazy. First month, I got an offer to come out to L.A. Got several. I thought they were people. Thought it was my friends messing with me because they knew I was. They knew that my little Vine account was getting big, and I was getting these emails saying, "Hey, I'm a talent agent out in Los Angeles. You want to come out and audition for a show?" And I'm like, "Okay." I actually replied to one email, said, "Hey, if this is one of my buddies, I swear I'm going to piss in your mailbox."
Yes.
And they replied back. They said, "This is not a joke. We'll call you." And I figured out that everybody likes to line up phone calls. That was the first time I've ever had to do that. So we started arranging a bunch of phone calls, and it just kind of rolled on from there. And then it was Vine. It was me trying to save myself marketing money for an outdoor app that I'd sunk a ton of money into. And I kind of found a niche in what I do.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not a lot of people. I guess it's there's a lot of guys that are I'm from South Mississippi originally. I've been up here for 17 years, but I'm from like South Mississippi, like 30 minutes from the coast.
Oh yeah.
And there's a lot of guys that I grew up with and that I know still from that area that have that same sense of humor, but they don't know how, if you put them in front of a camera or even a phone, they just lock up like that.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
It's tough. It still kind of is to me, but
Don't let him lie to you like that.
He hates showing off.
well, yeah. I mean, I still do better. It seems like just by myself with my phone,
Right.
than somebody else. Because I've got asked to do stand up, and
I was going to ask you about that.
I've turned it down. I don't know how many times now. And I've had bits. I've put together what I would think would be great bits, would be funny, which anything I've ever done myself, I've watched, and I really don't think it's that funny, but other people do. I'm like, well, hey, it worked. But so I've steered clear of that for now. I've learned to not rule anything out at any time.
Right.
Because stuff comes along just like you never expect it. Like
You were stamping metal not long ago.
oh yeah, man, that's exactly what I was boring cranks on Power Stroke diesel engines, and I get a message to come to Hollywood, and I'm like, what?
That's wild.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
Well, that's
that's in the matter. The time frame was in a matter of like less than 6 months.
The first Vine took off real quick with me, and then the first 6 months I had a couple of people want me to get on some auditions. I turned a few down. Somebody got on the phone with them. They asked me, said, "How are your survival skills?" And I was like,
Naked and afraid.
Yeah.
Boss edition.
Oh my gosh.
I told him, I said, I can survive, but that's it.
Depends on how far away Kentucky Fried Chicken is.
Yeah. I'm doing just fine right now, but you're not dropping me out in the middle of the woods. I'm
That's
sorry.
how I feel too.
Yeah. I like being able to get to my truck. So how did you get hooked up with Rated Red? What brought you up to Nashville?
Well, I shot some video for them covering the Democratic and Republican conventions.
It is amazing.
Oh, you did? Oh, you went to both?
Yes.
My gosh. Is this still online?
Yes, it's out
Oh,
there.
I gotta see that.
I've gotta
It's
find
incriminating.
Yeah, it was fun. It was. I got to go to I got to go to Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton.
Did you really?
Yeah.
And interview them all?
I didn't know. I couldn't get close to them. I run up on the stage, and they did get me off there quick. Nobody was really in that place yet, but I said, I'm going to do it.
Right.
And the camera guy was ready to read. He was like, don't do that, man.
Right, yeah.
But if you do it,
I
I'm
said,
filming.
but this is the only chance I'll ever have.
I'm not running anytime soon.
Yeah. We'll just see what happens.
Wow.
But yeah, that was the first gig I'd done for Rated Red, and from there I started doing a little more and more, and here I am, Nashville.
Right.
Still live in Alabama.
Okay.
Oh, right.
What part
Yeah.
of Alabama are you from?
I'm around Athens, North Alabama, Limestone County.
That's not too bad of a commute.
No, it's not too bad.
So you come up during the week, or how do you do
Yeah,
it?
I come up through the way. It's getting old, but the drive, the 65 is not a pleasant drive at
No.
8 o'clock in the morning.
No.
But I'm on the fence of moving into Nashville
Right.
because I'm right there to where like I can tolerate it that drive, but it's not terrible.
Right.
I was driving 45 minutes to go cut metal,
Right.
so I can drive an hour and a half to go drink gravy cocktails.
And get paid
It's
to
a
do it.
hard, it's a hard life.
Yeah.
So what? I'm assuming your story's similar to the rest of ours, getting into hunting and all that.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of family thing.
Yeah, my daddy, he liked to plink with a 22. He never there wasn't any deer around for a long time when he was growing up
Right.
in Alabama.
Yep.
He tells me the story about the first deer he ever saw.
That's like my dad too,
Yeah.
back in Georgia.
It's something
He's like-
they didn't when they were younger. He didn't hunt,
Yeah.
Right.
but
It was something to see a deer. Like we
Yeah.
saw
Yeah.
a deer.
Absolutely. Yeah. I saw a deer track today.
Oh my God!
That's how it
Everybody
was where I
camps
was
like,
from.
"Where's it at? Where's it at?" Don't tell them your secret.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. Daddy's taught me. He taught me to fly rod fish. That's what we done. We waded the creek. We caught red eye.
Really?
And that's what we done. And my uncles, they got me into coon hunting, and I loved coon hunting. Then they got me into deer hunting, and that was all.
Well, you raise dogs now, don't you?
Yeah. They got blue ticks. I don't have time to run them, but
All right. We can always bring them up here. Get
Yeah.
you a place right outside of town.
yeah. Let
I'm
them
trying to
out.
talk you into it or anything.
Yeah.
We'll hook you up with some hunting land.
Yeah, I tell you what, the coon hunting's fun. It was at one time I would have swore it was the most enjoyable thing a person could do.
Right.
But now I've got to where I do not like walking hills and picking ticks off me so much. So
That's one thing I've never done. We've had several guys in here that have been really into it, and I've just never gone out and done it.
Yeah, I've never tried it. I'd love to try it.
I've
I've
never
never
done it
duck
either.
hunted either. So, but being around Tennessee, there's not a lot of duck hunting unless you go all the way toward
Right.
Memphis and stuff. But that's something else I want to try too. But
Yeah, for sure.
anything that's in around this area, we've pretty much hunted. I feel like,
Right.
other than coons.
I'm telling you, the coon hunting is something else. That's what's sad about it. It's kind of a dying sport, and a lot of money's getting into it now. But pleasure hunters. In Alabama last year, they made it to where coon season does not close.
Oh, really?
It's open year round. So that just kind of shows they're losing that amount of young hunters
Right.
coming up. They're not taking care of this population of coons, and and they kill the turkeys off, and the turkeys they're bringing in more revenue than those
Right,
coons. But
exactly. Well, and that's just like general hunter recruitment. We've talked about it a lot, but the in the hunting community, it's very, and y'all know just as well as I do, you keep your spots yourself and you don't share them because you don't want anybody killing your deer or killing your turkeys. And hunter recruitment is the absolute opposite of that to an extent. You're like, yeah, come with me. I'm going to take you hunting. And I'm going to take you turkey hunting. You'll get first shot. I'm going with a buddy in a few weeks, opening morning. And it's like, he's never killed a turkey. And so we're going turkey hunting. I'm like, well, crap, I got to let him shoot first. I'll get a chance to shoot one,
Yeah.
But it's like
I've
you
done
said.
that a couple times,
Yeah.
so it is the most rewarding thing
is.
ever.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, if you get lucky enough to actually, that's always the mornings we don't hear anything and I look like a moron.
Well, my experience was total opposite. I'm talking up turkey hunting. It's like the hardest thing ever. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
They're hard to kill. And then I take my friend out that one morning. We were not even sitting down 10 minutes, and they fly off the roost right in front of us.
really?
One and done, right there.
Yeah.
I swear, it's not always like
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, I know. Didn't you have with Jamie
Yeah,
last
Jamie
year?
I have a buddy of mine. He's a front of house engineer for Scotty McCurry, and he always wanted to go turkey hunting. Took him out 2 years ago. Same thing. We heard a bird off in the distance. I was like, well, we might be able to get to that one. Let's just start calling him. We'll start walking a little bit. Thing came running at us. He shot it within the first hour. And then the following year, same thing. So that's 2 times he's only turkey hunted twice with me, and we've gotten a turkey. And I'm like, dude, you're
Beginner.
like, this is not
happen.
normal.
Yeah.
Like, how many times do you just get skunked altogether?
Yeah.
Don't
How
hear
many
anything.
how many
It's
years have I gone without
Yeah.
killing a bird?
Exactly.
A lot more than I'd like to admit.
Yeah.
So what, like, give me this is not a selling Rated Red thing, but I'm actually interested. What does Rated Red do? Like, what is their what am I looking for? Their mission statement.
Well, I could say what they like is what is it? The Heartland. What is it called?
Heartland Millennials.
Heartland Millennials.
Okay.
That's their demographic that they're trying to go after. And,
It's a culture thing. You have, urban pop culture, and I guess from what, whenever I signed on with them, I wanted to know that it was the real deal. What we, was going to be there for a little while, and I like what they told me they were, because there's not really a channel that caters to that culture, of growing up in the country, the heartland.
Not more than just like one guy filming videos.
Right. It's a mix.
BuzzFeed for the Heartland. That's
Okay.
what they kind of call it.
I gotcha.
I got you.
We pump out about 9 stories a day, all
Okay.
video content,
Right.
and it's just catered to Heartland Millennials.
Is their mainstay like YouTube, their website? What are they mainly pushing towards?
Our biggest platform right now is Facebook, and we got over 2 million followers.
Oh, really?
Wow.
And
Wow.
we grew that in less than 2 years
Really? That is insane. On Facebook.
on Facebook, and
Wow.
I don't know how many we have on YouTube now.
No, I don't know. I don't keep up with the numbers.
right.
I get asked sometimes from people about that have products and stuff, and I'm like, I'm not sure. You may want to talk to somebody else.
Somebody
He's a great employee over here.
Yeah, that Heartland Millennials, I've never heard it said that way, but I mean, there was a time when, like, on mainstream TV, there was like a country presence, like
Oh, yes.
like Duke to Hazard,
Yes,
there was Hee Haw,
Yeah.
all of that, and so those people didn't go anywhere.
No.
There's rednecks in every
Yeah.
state of the
Oh,
union.
yeah.
That's
All
what we
over
always
the
say.
place.
Like when I'm on tour and stuff, we'll go up to Maine. I mean, it's just like those dudes are just as country as I am.
Yeah.
what I'm
Oh,
saying?
yeah.
And so that's really cool that your company is trying to, market towards that, because I think there's a void
Oh,
There.
big time.
definitely on TV. I mean, you don't see any. I mean, there used to be Dallas.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
all those, back in the 90s, there was a bunch of shows like that. But
Well, the issue is, I think all the giant media outlets are based out of LA and New
Right.
York, and that's where all that content is. And that's why we're in Nashville. We're in the middle of the heartland of country music,
Yeah.
and pushing out that content. So,
Yeah. Well, it makes a big difference actually being around it. I
Yeah.
mean, even though Nashville is a metroplex and it can be a pretty hipster in its areas.
very.
Very, yeah. Pretty is the lighter
Yeah,
term of the few.
exactly.
But
A lot of wannabe country folks here,
there's
too.
a lot of there's a lot of
Yeah.
work boots that don't have any scratches on them. Yeah, that's my big thing. If I see you in this pair of steel toe boots and they look like they just came off the shelf, I'm gonna
Yeah.
get pissed off. I've seen that more times than I can count. But I think it makes a big difference about being around the people. In LA, you don't get that. I mean, it would be hard to do that in LA
Oh, yeah.
because you're not around anybody that actually lives that lifestyle
Yeah, it
or
was,
grew up living that lifestyle.
it was interesting. I've been to LA now twice, and it's a different planet.
it really is.
Really.
You get looked at like a Martian walking around out
It
there.
is. Oh, I did. I had on a pair of camouflage Crocs and cut-off shorts and a
Hey.
cut-off T-shirt.
Kim Kardashian was wearing Realtree the other day. So,
Was she really?
Yeah.
I'll tell you,
She had
Justin
no
Timberlake is the Man of the Woods tour.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
that's all Trace. He
Yeah.
was-
And that happened after he moved here.
so you watch another 2 years, we're going to be mainstream. Let's do it right here. Mark it.
It would be nice if we were, that's for sure. I wouldn't have to explain, in the online space too. It's just weird because there's not there's guys like, I don't know why 22 Plinkster keeps coming to mind, but on YouTube, like, he runs a great channel and he does that kind of stuff, but it's like there's not like a BuzzFeed for this demographic, this generation, I guess, until Rated Red.
Yeah.
Like, it's not something that is normal because typically rednecks and technology don't mix very well.
No.
Oh, is that what the red is?
I've got asked. One guy wouldn't even give me an interview because he thought I was with the Communist Party. At the convention.
comrade.
Rated red.
He was like, I don't support the communism.
Oh my
So,
god!
wow.
What the hell are you talking about, man? I don't.
Right.
Do I look like a communist to you?
Right.
Communists don't talk like this.
All right.
The other cool thing is we're on Snapchat now, so on the Snapchat Discover channel, and I think we're the only kind of platform that produces content that is related to the outdoors or military. That's
Okay.
outside of Kim Kardashian.
And her real tree.
Yeah, and her real tree. She's coming over to the dark side.
All right. Yeah. The camo side.
Yeah.
Kanye's pushing her the other way.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, it's a weird thing because even like the podcast, we have to. It takes some explaining to some of my family back home. Like, what is it now? Well, we get together and talk about hunting and fishing, and when we have musicians in the music industry and songwriting and that kind of thing, and they're like, and it's on the internet, and like, yeah, it's on the internet. You find
It's
it.
on the interweb.
Yeah, exactly.
It's in the
I was
cloud.
like, yes, ma'am. You can find it online. I'll send you a link. Oh, well, I don't know about the. Y'all just have fun.
Yeah.
That's my grandmother.
That's it.
Yeah.
I'm sure it sounds like something important.
Yeah.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
Speaking of which, have y'all? You've recorded your record. You're in Nashville now. Have you got a record out?
Yeah.
Hey, no.
Nope. I don't think anybody's gonna be buying that one.
No, that's not me at all. I'm glad that's not what I pursued.
All right.
Yeah, it's me either. I'm a recovering musician.
Yeah.
I used to be. I toured for a while, and then I started having babies and realized I didn't want to tour anymore.
Those babies will do it. I got some,
Do you? How many you got?
2,
What ages?
8 and 12.
Okay.
Nice.
It's I got one. He's a handful.
Is that the one that was in the office the other day?
Yeah, shooting people with Nerf guns.
Yep. I walked around the corner and he's got a Nerf gun to one of our other producers' back. Producers, and he's like, "Give me the candy."
All right. That's great. Yeah.
My youngest is 4, and last night he had gotten spaghetti sauce or something on his shirt, and he took it off. And he just had jeans on, and he had grabbed a Nerf gun. There was nothing in it. And he just ran. I watched him across the living room. He ran up to his mother and just shot it at her and just laughed and ran off. And I said, dude, that's some redneck shit. You don't have a shirt on. And he just ran off. And then I think she said something mean to him. He's like, I don't like you. And I'm like, oh, my gosh. I'm pretty sure you were raised in Nashville. You haven't been to Mississippi since you were born.
It's in the genes, man.
I know.
It is. It comes natural.
Like my boys, they just started taking a leak off a porch every morning for some reason. I don't even know what it was up. And he would like wait for cars to be coming. And I was like, what are you doing, man? He's like, I'd rather pee out here. Okay.
I can understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't breathe
me
that
too.
Right. Oh yeah.
out. All right.
Well, I've got 2 little girls. I got a 6-month-old and a 2.5-year-old.
Wow.
And the 2.5-year-old, she loves being outside, and I take her on the 4-wheeler and stuff. I mean, she's all about it. She's already caught her first bass.
Awesome.
Oh, that's good. I mean,
Starting them off right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he bought a farm that has a pond on it, so he's teaching them right.
Right. Yeah.
Spawn.
We're trying to raise him right.
really, it's tough now with the YouTube and the interwebs
Oh,
out
I
there.
know, man. They'll
It's
just stay on it.
they will stay on it 24/7
Yeah.
if you let them.
Yeah, we've had to set timers on. We bought them all like little Amazon Fire iPads for Christmas, and we have like timers set on it to where it just basically says, all right, you're done for the day, because if we don't, they'll stay on it all day.
It's scary, really. It scares me that I'm just kind of like, I'm not going to treat my boy like a science project, but sometimes I'm just like, I wonder how long he would stay on that.
Right,
I
yeah.
just sit back and watch. I'm like, oh my God, it's been like 6 hours.
Yeah, he comes out speaking another language. Like, shit, fire.
Yeah, he knows some things. And I'm like, wow.
Writing binary.
Yeah.
He's gonna write your new app.
It can be a good teaching. It can be a good teaching tool, but Lord have mercy, it's intoxicating. Of course, as much time as I spend on Instagram, I can't talk too much. So.
I know. My wife wants to set a limit on my phone.
That's mine too. So I get home, she's like, you're not going to touch your phone. You've been on it all day. I'm just like, okay. And I just sit there and I'm like, it beeped. I need to check that.
Right.
Report it.
Yeah, there's a Tractor Supply email that came through. I need to see what's on sale this week. That's what's on my phone, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah, it becomes a good tool, but a terrible weapon at the same time.
Yeah, it is.
Because it's like, we wouldn't have this podcast if it wasn't for it. I mean, Lord have mercy. I can't imagine trying to do a radio show like this where I can say shit and nobody get on to me.
I've thought about it a million times. If it wasn't for Vine, I'd still be a machinist. Well, I'd be a laid off machinist because that factory shut down. But,
It worked out.
Yeah,
then.
I'd be at a different machine shop somewhere.
You'd be driving
right
an
now.
hour instead of 45 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's a blessing and a curse. But
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely enjoy it. I just there's some like with anything, there's some bad content on every platform.
Yes.
And when I say bad, I mean like bad,
Right.
bad, like some
Not just-
chainsaws and Mexicans and,
Yeah.
and heads and
Bad stuff.
Dark stuff.
very
Yeah.
dark, evil stuff. Like my boy was watching some Mexican drug lords on YouTube, and I was like, "What are you doing?"
Wow.
Send me that link.
That's the
Turn it
difference. Like you can literally search anything now. Like I remember
Yeah.
when I was a kid, they had like these Faces of Death.
Oh, yeah.
videos.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
That's all you could ever see. That's the worst.
That
of
was
the
the
worst.
worst
And it
of
was
the
at
worst.
somebody's party. You would want to watch, and you're like, I don't know. But man, now anything is it's crazy. But
Yeah.
when you were picking when you started out on Vine, was Vine a pretty new platform, pretty much, or?
I really don't know.
Yeah.
It couldn't have been very old at all, and I honestly don't remember what even caused me to download that. Why I knew of that app, I don't know. I don't remember. I just remember doing the first video, and it just and by the time they were, I knew that which I had some influence jobs that come along. A lot of advertisers use those Vine personalities to push their product. So I made some money on Vine.
Yeah.
But I knew that I wasn't going to make a living
We're
on
going to
Vine.
make a career
You
on
know.
Vine, yeah.
Yeah.
So I had done, by the time it went away, I'd moved away from Vine and started doing other things. So when it went away, it didn't bother me. It didn't even bother me a little.
Right.
Like my outdoor app was my goal, and I still am pursuing that because it's different than anything else. If there's any investors out there,
Hit him up. Alabama boss.
shoot me an email. I got a great idea, and I got the marketing covered. I swear.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I got the followers already.
Been working on it for about 6 years now. But so I finally got some the followers built up to get this app done. But now, I left Vine, and then when this is kind of what I wanted with Rated Red. What I'm doing now, I figured out going to these. I done a sizzle reel for History Channel.
Really?
They still have
really?
it. They didn't.
Really?
They didn't pass on it. They didn't buy it.
They just have it.
They bought it, and they've got it, and they're just holding on to it. And I'm like, damn it, show that to somebody.
Yeah.
I shot 15,000 bottle rockets at one time. Show that to somebody.
Somebody will buy this shit.
Yeah, I want somebody to see it. Just give me that part back. But, I knew then that that's what I wanted to do, was something like this. And I wanted the job at Rated Red. I didn't tell them that because we was negotiating the contract.
Right, you're like, really
I got
hardball of it.
I got a lot of good offers.
Yeah.
They called. I'm like, I don't know, man. But in the back of my mind, I was like, I want to go up there and do this.
You got off the phone and you're giddy as a schoolgirl.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's a God's honest truth. That's what I was wanting to do. And I really hope people take a hold to it. And because I don't know if they realize that there's not that many outlets out there like Rated Red. And if they all go away, we don't really have an outlet like that. And I'm not saying we're like Fox News or we're any leaning left or right, but there really ain't an outlet for people like that. So if you're pro-gun like I am,
Right.
I'm very pro-gun. If there's nobody with a voice backing that
Right.
at some point, you won't have a voice.
Right. Well, and it's so I was watching, you uploaded a video the other day, or you did a live stream on YouTube, and I actually watched it not too long. I think I'm subscribed to your channel.
Oh, thank you.
And I'm one of them.
I appreciate it.
And I was like, you were talking about kind of your views on the gun and bump stocks and all that kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
I was like, I can't imagine 15, 20 years ago where you could have this opinion and it make it anywhere on any sort of news channel or
Right.
even on the radio.
Yep.
Because most of that stuff is run by fairly liberal, fairly left-leaning people, which, there's some things I agree with those folks on when it comes to like civil issues and that kind of thing. But when it comes to guns, there's not a whole lot that me and them line up on, maybe one or two things. But
it's common sense
Well,
stuff,
there's
for everybody.
There's all the way to the right, and there's all the way to the left.
There's nothing in the middle.
There's nothing in the middle.
Right.
And there's a lot of us that are in the middle.
Yeah.
It's not a bunch of crazy rednecks that are.
Speak for yourself.
I know that's what you build your brand off of.
that's right.
But I'm just saying that there's
It's
not a
time to
whole
take
lot.
the hat off, boss. You got to talk truth here.
There's not
Turn
really
this into Povich.
someone out there
Yeah.
that'll
You're
speak
not
up for the people in the middle. That's what I'm
Yeah.
trying to say.
Yeah, well, I think
No, I agree.
there's a lot of them in our generation too. Like I'm 32, you're 40.
Yeah, I'm 40. Yeah, just turned 40.
How old are y'all?
You can
I'm
skip
not
my.
supposed to ask,
You
but-
can skip my.
Okay.
Or go next.
38.
30. So it's like our generation. It seems like there's a whole lot more people that land in the center.
Yeah.
Because it's not the good old boy rednecks that are like, some of the stuff I grew up with in the deep south.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's also like I'm not very liberal either. Like it seems like there's a lot of us.
There's a it's just it's I look at it like deer hunting. You have people that like to just shoot anything that walks. They don't like management.
Put your hand down over here.
Jared just raised his hand.
He's
So
like, if
fast.
it's brown, it's down.
Sorry.
If it flies, it dies.
I don't manage. I manage to shoot a lot. That's what I do.
But it like you said though, I have things that like I said, the bump stocks, if they come in and ban bump stocks, it's not going to affect me a
Right.
bit. And I own one. They're a gimmick. That's my opinion.
And not a lot of people really use them when you look at the numbers.
I just
They're
don't.
They'll mess up.
horribly inaccurate.
They'll mess up a firearm
Yeah.
more quickly than they'll help you.
But it's I got the chance to ride with that. I can never say his name right. Coleon Nior.
Yeah,
Colin
Noir.
Okay.
I think.
One of us said it right, maybe.
Yeah.
Sorry,
but
Colin.
He's with the
Never
NRA.
listen to this.
And he's getting. I just kind of sit back and watched him. I got to ride with him in a cab for about an hour in Las Vegas, and
For
we,
SHOT Show?
yeah,
Yeah.
and we talked quite a bit. And this guy's super intelligent, a lot smarter than me, and I mean he's a lawyer.
Right.
But I watched him on Twitter for absolutely no reason other than being a face of the NRA get destroyed
Oh yeah.
on Twitter. And I felt sorry for the guy because, people were treating him like he is committing these gun crimes.
Right.
And the way they done him, it was just wrong.
Yeah.
I'm like, who's going to stand up for this guy?
Yeah.
He's done nothing wrong.
No. He has an opinion.
Yeah,
It
he-
hasn't hurt anybody.
No, and that's kind of why I like what we do. And like, I don't think Rated Red necessarily. Me, I've made it very obvious the way I feel about everything. You can just look at my channels. And,
Right.
I don't want to get into that. That part of it, the political side of it. But
Yeah.
like I said, there's got to be a voice for somebody, and we're a minority. You
Yeah.
just got to face it.
Well, and you got to be able to come to the table. Like my wife is pretty liberal. She went to school at Belmont here in Nashville. She was born and raised here, which, like we were talking about before, Nashville's the South technically, but there's a being an art town, it's got a little bit more
And it is a
left-leaning.
city.
Yeah,
Anytime
exactly.
you go to a city, though, it becomes more liberal.
Exactly, very much so. So like we butt heads on a lot of stuff, and she's moved more towards the center. We've been married for 12 years, going on 13 years. She moves more towards the center, and I move more towards the center, and we can debate stuff and we
Yeah.
can talk about stuff all day. And used to it was a heated argument, but like now I can we had a talk about gun control stuff the other day. We line up on most of it, but there's some stuff. She's a teacher and she feels a certain way about stuff, and I'm not a gun enthusiast, but I've shot firearms. I got my first shotgun when I was 9, and then I was allowed to literally go in the woods and hunt squirrels. Like, here's a box of shells and a gun, and come back in 4 hours.
Yeah.
So I grew up that way. So there doesn't seem to be a lot of, and there needs to be more of being able to have that kind of conversation of without screaming at each other
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
calling each other, well, you're a baby killer, and like you're a Nazi. Like, no,
Well,
I
it's-
just think differently than you do.
A lot of this stuff is based off of emotional reactions.
Exactly.
Yep.
And I've seen that point a million times. As soon as a giant crisis comes up, it is a media fest, and
Yeah.
they play off of it. And there's no doubt about that.
Right.
It's an opportunity for them to start a screaming match.
Right.
And there's no middle ground. There's
Yeah.
no,
No, and you're probably not going to agree with the other person when it comes down to it, but at least having the daggum conversation.
Right.
I mean, that's really big.
Yeah, I don't think like a lot of people that are on that middle ground. I don't think they're the ones that don't like and don't comment on social media.
Right.
They just
I was
really,
gonna say that.
they just
Yeah.
take it in,
Yeah.
and that's it. You know, because we've all, like me working in a factory, that's one good thing about working in a factory for 10 years like I did. I work with a very diverse group of people from every viewpoint you can imagine. So, there's, like I said, I have my views on a lot of different things, but you got to respect everybody else's. But when they get extreme, to the right, if they get extreme, or to the left, is whenever I'm just like, wow. And that seems like it's the only thing on the biggest platform is Twitter. I don't know what it is with Twitter.
And I've kind of steered clear of
I
Twitter
don't
lately.
like
Yeah,
Twitter.
I've been off it here lately, but more on Instagram stuff. But that's what it seems like everybody is.
On Twitter,
Yeah.
it makes me. I get on there and I'm just like, man, I'm getting mad. I gotta get off
Well,
this.
that's where 90% of our president's press conferences are.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Late night Twitter sessions.
Yep.
Right. Yeah.
I do.
I feel I'm eating a chicken sandwich.
Yeah. Oh, what was it he said about Kim Jong-un the
Oh
other
my
day that was
God.
amazing? Oh, shit, what was it? Oh, about Kim Jong-un said something about him, and he said, I would never call you fat and ugly. Don't come over here and
Oh yeah.
I was like, holy shit.
Welcome to 2018.
Yeah, exactly.
It is amazing sometimes when I step back and look at it. I'm like, wow, that's actually happening.
Yeah.
Well, again, like we're
Yeah.
talking about, it's given some of us a job, and,
Yeah.
and it's given some of us a voice. Unfortunately, it's given everybody a voice.
Yeah.
But fortunately, Colin Ward, people like that, you probably never would have heard of. You guys, people never really would have had any idea unless you got hooked up with somebody that had a show on Outdoor Channel or Sportsman's Channel,
that's
which
true.
you were. But
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. If that hadn't happened, that's when people recognize that there is a heartland millennial out there.
Right.
Those
Yeah.
flyover states,
Yeah.
Like you said, those people, man, there's some rednecks everywhere. Ohio,
That's
Oh,
true.
yeah.
they got a swamp of rednecks in Ohio.
yeah,
They got big deer up there too.
Yeah.
Man.
yeah.
Are y'all tied in with any? Do you ever go to any country festivals or anything like that? Like, with Rated Red or?
Yeah, we've covered a couple of them.
Okay.
I think Paxton and Amanda, our other host, they've gone and done a few. Like CMA Fest, we'll cover that.
Cool.
And then, like, we had the Rated Red 3D Dome at CMA Festival this past year
Okay.
downtown. Since
Oh, I saw that.
yeah, since Hearst and Complex own us, I mean, they own everything.
Oh, really?
I mean, everything from like
I got to go in that Hearst Tower, and I can't remember everything. It's cool because it's like the old baking books that my mama used to have. It's like, I don't even remember what the old magazine was, like Red Book and all of that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they had
own
those.
So they're in print and
Cosmopolitan, and
everything.
they own everything.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
Anything and everything you could think of, they got their hand in it.
It's like an antique store in one part of that place. I was like, it's like to have some of this stuff.
That's wild. So they're connected in most marketing when it
Right.
comes to print and that kind of stuff. That's where they got a lot of.
I think that's where Hearst kind of started. Really was
Yeah,
all
they-
that print. And,
Like, you remember the stories of Patty Hearst? She went crazy back in the day. She was held by a captor. What's that called when you fall in love with your captor?
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about. I can't
Yeah.
remember
What?
the term.
I know.
What is the name of
I
that?
can't remember the term, but I know what
It'll
you're talking
come back
about.
to me in a minute. But anyway,
You'll just say it randomly in
Yeah.
the middle of another conversation.
she have Tourette's over there. No.
that's Melania, she may know.
Yeah.
yeah, there it is. I knew there was something.
There it is.
Yeah, where's it at?
Jump on
Stockholm
that kid
syndrome.
over there. There it is.
Stockholm syndrome. That
That's
one.
it.
Man, we weren't even that far away from the conversation
I
yet.
know. Yeah. Oh man.
Okay, random thought. Tell me about chainsaw carving.
Oh goodness.
Wait. Who does you do
Yeah.
chainsaw carve? Wow.
Yeah, I got into it about 2 years ago. One of my dad's friends, he kind of got me into it, and just picked up a chainsaw one day to do a video for a real tree, and then I fell in love with it and started doing it after that more and more and more.
Really?
Got addicted.
It's got to be time consuming. Like, does it go fast? Like, I've seen you did a guitar not too long ago for
Yeah.
a charity auction, and I was like, holy crap, that looks really
That's
good.
awesome.
It depends. Obviously, if you got more experience, a lot of those guys can carve something in a minute, like 30 minutes. And it also depends on what you're carving. Like it took me 4 or 5 hours to carve that guitar.
Really?
So you'll get a big old log, depending on the size of it, and make your big cuts, and then go in with a smaller saw, make the smaller cuts, and then my favorite part, you get to burn it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it burns
Big
off
old torch?
Yeah, big
Oh,
blow
nice.
torch,
Nice,
and get all those little finer things burnt off of it, and
Oh, that's cool.
That's
make
awesome.
it gives it that depth.
Where do you source the wood from? Like, where do you get the logs from?
She asked people.
Yeah,
She asked me.
I did. I was like, boss,
She's like, you know,
Can I
you
borrow
don't,
some
you
wood?
don't have any like logs. Do you? I'm like, what?
people look at me kind of funny when I walk up to them. Hey, you got any wood?
right, yeah. Well, yes, I do have trees.
I got some friends back home that have some sawmills and stuff like that, and I get
Oh,
it from
that's
them.
cool.
Okay. That's awesome. Yeah, I saw that. I was like, what an incredibly awesome random thing to
Thank
be
you.
into.
Well, the backstory really is that so my dad passed away of cancer back in 2007,
Okay.
and his really good friend Chap Nelson, they put on that big charity we have down in Georgia for
Okay.
cystic fibrosis. Anyway, my dad had gotten to the point where he couldn't really move or do anything, and he came and carved a big old owl for him, so he could see it that
okay.
day, and that's where I really picked
Oh,
it
that's
up.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
From then on, I got hooked.
Yeah,
Yeah.
some of those things can get pretty intense. You've watched Carver Kings? I'm
You
assuming.
know, I haven't seen that,
Oh my
and
gosh.
I heard it's on Netflix.
It's real reality showy, like very much put on. But some of the stuff they do is incredible.
I will say, every carver I know is an artist, and every artist is definitely got a little quirk to them.
All right.
Oh, they are all characters.
Right.
That's wild.
No,
Any
that's-
wooden Indians yet? Have you
Not
tackled
yet.
that? Okay.
It's on the list.
All
I've
right,
actually
yeah.
got a big old tree back at my family's place. I just
Goodbye, tree.
No tree is safe
Yeah.
in that
Right,
area.
yeah.
I get really excited when I see logs on the side of the road, like when the county's cutting them down. I'm right behind them. Hey, can I have that tree?
Yeah.
What makes for a good carving log?
Softwood.
Softwood. Okay.
Yeah.
So you don't want to get any kind of oak or maple or anything
No,
like that.
that'll tear up your saw real
Okay.
quick.
See,
Pine.
I don't know
A lot of
anything about
pine.
this.
A lot of white pine,
Okay.
anything really soft. But I love carving cedar, and that's a lot harder. But
okay.
Yeah, sure.
yeah,
I bet it smells better.
yes, it does. But I got a big old tree back home. I was saying that I'm going to finish carving up this summer, but I got to get a scaffolding because it's so tall to start going up the sides.
Wow.
I've got
Oh,
a
wow.
set if you need to borrow some. Yeah, that's 3 sections.
It should make for a cool time lapse. I'll post it up later.
Oh yeah, that'll make
that's
for really
great.
good. So what it's a weird question that we generally ask everyone, but like I don't ever know how to set this up. Like, what does hunting mean to you as far as like I'm trying to think of the best way to describe what we're trying to say.
I think
I
the
don't want
way.
to get like super emotional, but
Yeah.
like
No, basically, why do you hunt?
yes, there's a better way. to
That's
put it.
just the one line.
Yeah.
If you can sum it up,
You don't have to give one line.
Yeah.
The question is one line.
just if you
You
could,
go first,
if you could
Bob.
tell someone, like, which I'm sure you get this sometimes, where people have never been around hunting,
Yeah.
don't
Especially
know
here.
anything
yeah.
around it, about it, and everything like that. If you could just,
God, that's hard to sum down.
I know,
It
and
is.
it's a really tough question when you think about it. Like, there's somebody, but go right ahead.
Yes. It can be more than one thing.
Right.
I guess it's honestly for the rush of it. I mean, of course, I do it just because I eat the deer and I eat the rabbit and everything else. I like the food. But I'll be honest with you, if I have my choice of a ribeye or a deer, I'm gonna take the ribeye.
Right.
It tastes better.
You hadn't had somebody cook it right.
I mean, I like fried, but it's just it really is the thrill of like the chase, the whole process of from the food plot and the salt licks in the summer and everything like that, and the trail cam pictures and hoping you property besides you don't shoot the buck, and then just having the deer, even the deer you don't shoot, come up under you stand. I'll get the jitters, and it doesn't matter if it's a spike, or a doe. I mean, in all honesty, I guess that's what it's an addiction to some sort. That once I got to doing it, you know, hunting with my uncles and everybody, and that's why I stuck with it. I enjoyed it. I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to lie and tell you I'm doing it to save the planet or anything or to put food on the table, because I'm not.
Yeah.
People use that and there's nothing wrong with the conservation argument. I mean, it is conservation, but people use that far too often.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
that's not really the main reason you're doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I get one hell of a thrill out of it. I mean, I killed one of my best bucks to date this year, and I've had like a 3 or 4 year dry spell. Still win all the time, and just disgusted with it. And when that buck come out, and I took a good shot on him and got him, it was worth the 5 year wait and the massive amount of money that my wife don't know about.
Don't tell on yourself
Right.
now.
It's an expensive habit. That's
Like
for
people
sure.
say sometimes, like, well, you want, is cash okay? I'm like, yeah, cash is great. That's good. You can pay me in cash. That's fine. It's going to the hunting fund.
Yeah, there's no drug addiction. It's deer addiction.
Really?
No, but what else? I mean, what you said about the thrill of it, like, there is nothing else in life that you can get that worked up over that isn't, apart from getting up and public speaking, where you're like, get the jitters like that or something like that. But that's a whole different thing. This is like an adrenaline rush, and you have to produce a skill, so you actually have to practice at something. So you're just like, I don't know, it's a whole different thing.
It's like with hounds. Whenever I was training coon dogs, whenever you finally got one to tree its own coon, that was different than the feeling I get when I'm hunting deer. It was that dog, you know. I mean, I don't know. People are real partial to dogs. They're pets now. It's the same way with somebody's hound. So that was different to me. Coon hunting was, because I had like such an attachment to my blue ticks and my dogs. And when they finally done something right, you know, like I probably wish they'd quit chasing those deer. But when they finally treed, you know, that was awesome. I mean, it was the best thing ever to train a dog from a 6-week-old puppy to treeing a coon and
Man, that's
shooting it out. It's just, if you do it one time, you're hooked.
Right.
It's
Man,
awesome.
yeah, that's gotta be cool. I have trouble getting my dog not to take a dump.
That's been,
I think it's a similar feeling when you wake up and your dog hasn't taken a
Yeah,
dump.
okay, all right.
it's that's for me. You know, that's what it is. I guess the thrill of the chase and that type of stuff.
Right. What about you, Abby?
I'd have to agree with Boss in a lot of ways. It is an addiction. It's an expensive addiction.
Yes.
But who gives a rat's ass? You're
That's
having
right.
a great time
Yeah.
doing it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
heard that.
I really think it taps down into what we are as humans. That is ingrained in us. That is what we've done forever. And it's really hard to explain to somebody that's never done it, that passion that you have for it. But if you take somebody out and to go hunting and show them
Right.
the proper way, it clicks immediately.
Yep.
It's just like a natural human instinct that you tap into when you get out in the woods. And I don't even have to see anything. I just love sitting out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just being outside, being quiet. I get excited when I see a doe. I'll get just as jittery, nervous when I see a doe walk by as I do a buck. But growing up doing it, it's in my blood. It's in my DNA. And I'll never do anything but this. This will
Right.
be my passion for life. And I think a lot of us can relate to that.
Yeah, I think you're very right about it tapping into something primal. Like, it just, and I think I've taken people before and they just never went again. But for the most part, people that you take out, even if they don't make the time in the future to do it, it becomes a conversation piece for the next several decades. Like, man, remember that time we went out? Like, you only went deer hunting one time. Like, what are
Yeah.
you talking about for? He's like, oh yeah, 15 years ago, man, that was awesome. And
Yeah.
I'm like, it taps into something that you really can't explain other than it being a primal thing that you were kind of created to do.
Yep.
And you know, the whole, like, for me it's very much the connection with nature and God and that kind of thing. And it's also like this may be messed up, there's something about that like reverent moment after you kill an animal. Like, I can't think of a better word to describe it other than like respect or reverence, or like you're not really grieving, you're not sad, but you're
You're grateful.
You're grateful,
Yeah.
exactly, for the opportunity and for that animal. You know, you killed that animal and for it living in that entire. But there's something about that moment that I'm like, and it can be a turkey, it can be deer. Deer, for some reason, it gets me more than it does turkeys, but that's because turkeys are ugly. But with it can be any kind of animal. But that moment is like, oh man, I want to go do that again.
Yeah.
After I eat this one.
That's the addiction.
Yeah, I think it is. What about you, Kevin?
Oh, I mean,
We haven't talked about this in a while.
I mean, yeah, it's a little bit of everything, every bit of that. I think for me, it was like when I was really young, I wasn't old enough to go hunting, and I watched my dad and my uncles go out, sight the guns in, and I wasn't quite old enough. And then when we moved to Florida, we kind of moved to the coast, and I fished a bunch. I mean, just like redfish and everything like that. But when I moved to Tennessee, it was like, all right, I've always wanted to bow hunt, so it's. Yeah, it's definitely one of those things. It's the only place when I'm sitting in a tree stand, a summit tree stand, let me say.
There's his plug.
Send me a new
Yeah.
Viper.
I can actually sleep in my summit. That's how comfortable, and I feel safe.
Let me roll the track
All right,
here.
yeah. Okay. But no, it's just like one of those places that you can totally unplug. You know, like
Yeah.
people go golfing, and that's a different thing. That's a whole
That's
different.
fancy.
Yeah, and it's like,
Fancy.
and it's also like more of like hanging out with your buddies.
Yeah.
This hunting, yeah, you hang out with your buddies, but it's a solitary sport when it comes down to it. You go your separate ways most of the time, unless you go to some of these clubs where these hunting clubs where everybody sits in one big box blind and you pick the one out. You know, it's like, but I like the solitary hunt where you're sitting there and it's you and the elements. That's just.
I think
Yeah.
one of the coolest experiences I've ever had was I was whitetail hunting down in South Georgia, and I was walking through this field, and I looked down, and I find this perfect arrowhead.
Oh man, that's
wow.
cool.
So you just
Yeah.
think, man, ever how many years ago somebody probably slung that at an animal,
Yeah.
and this is where it laid.
Yeah.
It's just
No,
that
that's full
connection.
circle.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's stuff you just don't get unless you're walking around out in the woods.
You hear that in the distance?
Yeah, it's better than the banjo music. Yeah, there's something you just don't. Even going like scouting for turkeys and that kind of thing, like there's something you can't get unless you're in the woods, literally just walking around miles from anything else. That's why I like hunting. Like in Tennessee, we just don't get a lot of big tracts of private land unless you just happen to own thousands of acres, which we don't yet. One day. But like some of the WMAs, you can get out on 20, 30,000 acres and really get lost back in it. Like that's my favorite thing to do turkey hunting here around town is the WMA I hunt at the most for turkeys.
That's my favorite thing you do too is when you get lost sometimes.
But it's just like go back in the back 40 and just go walk. And I have no idea if there are birds back there. I don't know if they've been roosting. I don't know if they're sign. But just like I'm going to go down that ridge today and just walk and be like, oh, I didn't see shit. Oh well. Like
Yeah,
I had a really good day.
All
Well,
right.
if we were hunting to kill something, we would not be hunters
No.
anymore.
Yeah.
No,
I got
definitely.
I got another just like question. Favorite hunt? Just
Oh,
tell
man.
us that one hunting story that you can remember, no matter what the animal is. Either one of y'all go first.
Good grief, I got a couple.
Yeah, it's me. I've got several. If we were going to narrow it down to deer, because I'll stay away from. I would say there's my favorite one's probably some coon hunt, but yeah, I know it is. But I'm gonna tell you about the deer.
That's a larger
Get more
demographic. Can you tell the difference?
Yeah, yeah. There's probably not many coon hunters listening, but so I'll tell you.
Well,
one
that's
about,
because they don't have a computer.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, they're out training their dogs right now.
We're going to write all this out and just
Yeah.
throw it out.
But what I would probably say it was, golly, it was a bow hunt in 2001. Bow hunt 2001. It was windy, real windy, and for some reason it was like too windy to be hunting. All right, so I shouldn't have been in the tree stand.
Right.
Deer wasn't supposed to move. It was an evening hunt, and I got sick. I'm not going to tell you why, but I had to stop at a boat ramp and get sick. And went to my deer stand.
My imagination is going.
Yeah, and the wind I swear was 40 miles per hour, and I'm at the boat ramp sick, and I was like, I don't want to go to that deer stand, don't need to, but I'm going, and I went, and I got in the deer stand and sat there probably 45 minutes dozing off. I just happened to wake up and there was a good 8, not my biggest deer, but it was a good 8, and I had had my bow with me. He was about 60 yards out. He started coming straight toward me. I got drawed on him, and he spotted me, and he got out probably 45 yards. And I took a pop shot, and I ain't gonna lie, I should have never took it. But I hit him across the front of the brisk in the chest, and he didn't go 10 steps.
Really?
And it was like the worst morning getting to that stand because it was on a big hill. I was sick, wind was blowing, but the deer was moving, and it happened so quick that it was just turned out to be the most memorable hunt.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's often they're generally a lot of times not the biggest deer and not the most ideal conditions.
Yeah, really.
That's when you had to work for it.
It was crazy how it happened that morning because I was like, this is not a good morning to even be in the woods. But
Oh yeah, especially with wind like that, man.
yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I know 30, 40 mile an hour in my face. The tree was rocking, and like I said, I was just hung over.
Was there? Let's say the deer would have smelled some whiskey downwind.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah. If they'd been downwind, it'd been bad.
Like being in hunting
The
Lynchburg.
deer's drunk off your scent.
Yeah, it was bad.
That's what
bad.
happened. He laid down to go to sleep and just never woke up.
Yeah, when I drawed, I was like, I'm taking this shot. I believe I can do it.
They're like, I'm going to shoot at one of those deer.
Whichever one goes,
I'm bound to hit one
comes
of them.
across right here.
I had it. Yeah, I've thrown up out of a deer stand. Oh, I shouldn't say this. Twice hungover. I actually climbed back down one time. I'm like, nope. I got up in my climber, climbed back up out at the farm.
Oh
in
yeah,
Huntington.
that's right.
And I was
We
like,
weren't
it
hunting
was just the two of us out there, and he's in the stand. I'm like, And I'm like, nope.
Right down.
Walk back to the house. What about you, Abby? What's your memorable hunt?
I have so many, there's been some good misses, I will say that, but we won't talk about them.
Jared knows all about that.
Oh gosh, yeah. Lord have mercy.
I had some
yes.
great early story bow hunting experiences. Learned the hard way. But I would say this past fall, I went on my second elk hunt out in Idaho.
Okay.
And that was a true testament to figuring out who you are as a hunter.
Oh my gosh.
Good God Almighty! I don't know where the air went out there. We're at 8,000 feet.
Did you train for it? Is that
I
one of those
did.
hunts? Wow.
I started doing CrossFit here. I'm part of that cult. Go ahead and knock me on that.
Hey, you made it an hour and 5 minutes in before mentioning it. That's pretty good.
Oh man,
Sorry.
yeah, it's fine.
I need some help on some job sites digging. If
Yeah.
you don't wanna,
Yeah.
Everybody, a lot of people in the hunting industry, I think they're all about the CrossFit
Oh,
or whatever.
yeah.
I said I'm never doing it. I'm never joining it, and then I did join it this past year to get ready for that elk hunt. And if I didn't do it, I don't think I would have made it 10 steps up
That's
that
awesome.
mountain.
It works.
But just the physical, the strain of walking up those mountains at that altitude. We walked probably 40 miles in 3.5 days. And it was when all those fires were going on.
Oh, wow.
And so you could barely see a mile. And it was hot. It was like 95 degrees, and they weren't really bugling or nothing.
Bow rifle?
Bow.
Oh, wow.
And the day before last that we were going to call it quits, we finally got this bull to come up into a draw, and he was answering, and it got late, and then he just bedded down with his cows. So we made the plan to come back in the next morning, made that stalk on him again. He was coming to us and was probably maybe 100 yards away. And we knew he was just right down in there. And it is public land that we're hunting on, and this guy behind us starts screaming on his call. I don't know what he was trying to sound like, but it was not an elk.
wow.
And the elk took off. So we hunted for about 7 days on that piece of property and got that close. But that's public land.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's hard. It's hard hunting, and I'm ready for this year. I've been hitting the gym ever since then.
Man,
I'm not gonna let it skunk me this time.
No.
Hell to the no.
It would get me. I'd probably barely get out of the truck.
It was hard.
I want to try it one of these years. I'm saving up some of that cash money.
Well, you better start working out over here
Oh
with me
man.
then.
Yeah. Yep, that's the truth.
Cameron Haynes, I don't know. He
Yeah,
does
I
it
follow-
every
yeah.
day.
Yeah.
And
Man.
he goes at it hard, and that's why he's so successful.
Yeah.
Because you got to be able to do that unless you're just going on some property and they walk right out in front of you.
Right.
Or you're like, that one.
No, that's tough hunting. Well, it's been being able to make that push once you actually do get on an animal. You'll
Yeah.
work your ass off just to get up
Yeah,
there. And then when you find them, you're exhausted.
Yeah, I never knew it was like that. It's nothing like hunting down here in the flatland.
yeah.
He bugled, and he was 2 ridges over, and that's
That's where it started.
up and down. That's like 70% incline going up, and then going back down. It's just hard. Sprints. Do
Wow.
lots of sprints.
Really?
Boss is over here like, I think I prefer my stand.
Yeah, nah, that's not for me. That's
He's going on a turkey hunt out west in April.
I ain't walking.
Yeah, that's what they make gators for.
Yeah,
Turkey will gobble at a truck door slamming.
that's why I like coon hunting so much. The dog will stay treat all night. He can give you 8 hours to get to him. Coon ain't going nowhere.
And you'll hear him because those damn things are loud.
Oh yeah. Be like, I got plenty of time.
What, I think we should end it there because y'all got to leave here soon to go somewhere.
We got to go to the fly fishing tour in
That's right.
Nashville.
Nice.
That's right.
No, that's a show, right? I mean, like there's
It's a film
bands?
tour. I think they're going to have bands there.
Oh,
maybe.
okay, all right. Because it's at a venue like we talked about. That's
Yeah.
cool.
What is it again?
Marathon Music Works.
Yeah, it's a fly fishing tour they have across the country.
Like a film tour.
Film tour.
What are they playing? What are they doing?
I'm guessing they're going to give us a picture show. I don't know.
Like one of them talking picture boxes.
Yeah.
Or somebody whipping their fly rod around?
it's a dude on
better have a
stage
big
just doing a clinic, and they're
Yeah.
putting 1,000 people in there. That'd actually be pretty entertaining if he was good. Well, what, Boss, where's a good place for people to find you online? Where are you most active social media wise? And you need to post more on Instagram, by the way.
Oh,
You
man,
know,
yeah.
to you now.
They've been getting on me about that. I can't get into the Instagram for some reason. I don't know.
Your
Well, hey,
followers,
but
your
here
followers
you just
are
have
loyal.
to treat it like a Vine. The
Yeah.
same thing. Just
Yeah.
record it live.
You're only allowed to
Boom.
go for 4 seconds or whatever.
Yeah,
it
I
was.
should do that.
If you don't want to do it, you can pay me to do it. I sit across from you every day.
Yeah, I just hand you the phone and be like, well, I'll do something stupid video. It should be pretty regular. But, yeah, Facebook page, YouTube. I tell you, YouTube is where I'm wanting to make my push. Mm-hmm. I'm wanting to grow my YouTube. I haven't really started. I just started posting on there not long ago. I had some stuff on there that was compilations that a company done.
That's what I saw on it.
That's all it. That's all it was. I didn't put them together. But now I'm gonna start putting original content on YouTube. That's kind of where I want to grow that.
Okay, so just YouTube Alabama Boss.
I think it. This is
Was that a
bad.
burp?
I'm gonna put
what
this
was
in
that?
I will put the actual link in the show notes. But what do you think it
I
is?
think it's the Alabama Boss.
The Alabama Boss. Okay.
I think I really don't
That
know.
gravy is coming
That
back.
gravy came back up.
I don't know, man. Just Google Alabama Boss.
Yeah, you'll show up.
Yeah.
What about you, Abby?
Google me.
I'm AC outdoors everywhere. That's not air conditioning.
Outdoors. That's brilliant. Man, she has got the marketing thing.
Ah, that is. I didn't even put that together. Holy crap!
AC
It's
outdoors.
because I'm so cool, you know.
Oh,
But
wow. But
Wow.
queen of horrible puns. And
All right. They're almost dad jokes.
They're
that you got going.
almost.
Yeah.
yeah,
That's terrible. No, AC Outdoors. It stands for Abigail Casey.
awesome. Well, thank y'all again.
Thanks
for
for
sitting
having
Thank
down
you.
with us.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, Kevin.
Hey, Alabama.
Yeah.
What'd you think of my truck out there?
I liked it.
He's not
I
doing
mean,
it.
I got a 3-inch lift on the front. Come on, it's pretty good.
As long as it ain't doing the Carolina squat, I'm fine.
You're not getting it.
It
dude.
might be a little bit.
Yeah, I get it. He charges $75 for those. All right. Thank y'all. Bye.